In this presentation, we are going to talk about the steps to writing a good story. These different parts that you will learn about will be played into your writing for the rest of your life. Whenever you are writing a story, an essay, an article, or anything like that, you will use these steps to be successful. If you take the time to thoroughly complete all of these steps, the writing process will be very easy for you, and who knows, you may actually enjoy writing. Although not everyone enjoys writing, it is a huge aspect of everyday life, and you cannot get through schooling without it. The first step is pre-writing. Pre-writing is where you choose the topic and narrow down the points as well as determining the purpose of your writing. Additionally, you should consider the audience. So, in other words, who will be reading it? After you find your idea, try to develop your idea and include different details that could possibly be in your story. The next step is to plan and structure your idea. Drafting is nothing but putting your points and ideas on paper and arrange these points in a readable manner. Writers usually decide on a topic at the pre-writing stage, and then they will bring all of that information over to paper. First, the writers do a rough draft, and then they try to arrange their points in the best possible way and gradually prepare to write a final draft. Within the rough draft, do not be afraid to make mistakes. In further steps, there will be time to change and rearrange things. Remember to be confident in what you are writing about. It is important to take your time with drafting. Although you should not be afraid to make mistakes, you should be conscious about your work. The less mistakes you make now, the less work you have to do in later steps. Revising is where the draft is read through thoroughly and the ideas that are listed in the draft are rearranged and changed. At this stage, new points are added and some points are replaced and removed depending on how everything sounds. This stage is crucial for the final draft. This is really the only step where you can make major changes to your story. Everything must be in order and sound perfect. Editing is where you narrow down the tone of the writing and check each line thoroughly. You should check spelling, grammar, punctuation, sentence structure, and the way your book or document looks. Check all the content as mistakes should not be left behind. However, editing is the stage where writers can modify their lines as well as theme. It is always better to give your writing to someone for editing. This is where peer revising can come into play. Peer revising is where you give your work to another student and they will read it and basically just tell you what they think of your work. They can give you pointers and constructive criticism so that in the future you won't make the same mistakes. Peer revising is also nice because there will not be as much pressure on the students. Students usually think that they should be scared when the teacher reviews their work. So when another student reads your work, it will not be as tense. A good example to show is if a student still has errors and certain problems with their story after the editing and revising stages. All of these problems should be taken care of at this point. This also would show me that you do not care much about your work. So why should the reader? Show people that you care about your work and that it means something to you. Even at a young age, it is tough to write, but it is important to push through and put in effort to produce good work. The final step is publishing. This is your final piece of work. It should be perfect and be ready to be turned in into whoever is authorized to take your work. Your work should be completely error-free and it should be extremely clear. The reader should have no trouble reading your story at this point. This is a very exciting time for most students because all of the work is done and they can be proud of themselves for what they made. Writing a story is a long and drawn out task. The students deserve some praise after they complete their stories.